Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dreams Unlimited Travel Podcast. My name is John Magi, and I'll be your host. And for this episode, we're going to be talking about booking a Universal Orlando Resort vacation. This is actually the first part in a multi-part series about Universal. I have been to Universal many times. I've stayed at all but the newest resort, but I am not really one of the people who book Universal for Dreams Unlimited. So I'm super, super happy to be joined by our panel of experts this week. Agent Consultant for Dreams Unlimited Travel, Tracy Heinrichs.
Hi, everyone.
Agent for Dreams Unlimited Travel, Christy Bennett.
Hello.
Agent for Dreams Unlimited Travel, Allie Thomas Reeves.
Hi, everyone.
Chief Executive Officer of Dreams Unlimited Travel and overall know-it-all, Pete Werner.
Hey, everybody.
Back in our production facility, our associate producer, Oliver Green.
Hello.
And our producer, Craig Williams.
Hello.
Again, very excited to be talking about Orlando, Universal Orlando Resorts. Again, this is not something that I consider myself an expert in.
I would have to say me as well. At Dreams, the great
Then why
thing,
are you here?
Because you told me that.
Get out.
I've been to Universal just like you have. I've stayed in them. I certainly have opinions and thoughts, and I have some clients that I help with Universal as well. But at Dreams, we have agents who really, while many of our agents do a lot of different products, some of them tend to kind of lean towards a product a little bit more. So, for that reason, we have agents that we would consider to be more expert in a certain product than we would, myself for sure, or others.
Absolutely. So it's great to have Christy and Allie here. It's also great to have the team here.
Not to be confused with Kirstie Alley.
Kirstie Alley is not here.
But
also great to have Craig and Oliver here because they do a show every week on Universal. So having their input is super, super important. And Pete loves Universal. So I think that we've got a really great rounded panel with us today. I just want to start out by saying that as long as we've been coming to Central Florida on vacation, Universal has always been a part of our vacation. It's always something we've always done. However, it's always been sort of an add-on. You would go to Disney and you would stay at Disney and then you would take one day and go to Universal and do the parks. However, over the years, Universal has grown exponentially. Just an incredible theme park experience now with 2 full theme parks as well as CityWalk and the new resorts that are being they're popping up all the time. So I believe that Universal Orlando deserves its own show. It certainly has become something our clients are very much interested in. We get questions about booking Universal all the time. And not just, I'm staying at Disney, I want to go and I want to do a day at Universal and ride the rides. They want to go and they want to stay and they want to experience
the split stay at Universal is becoming more and more common. Whereas before, and this is really in the time before Harry Potter, the time before Wizarding World of Harry Potter, before Diagon Alley, Universal was a 1, maybe a 2-day excursion. Now what we're seeing more and more is people saying, okay, I'm going to spend 3 or 4 days at Disney, and then I'm going to spend 3 or 4 days at Universal. And that's how they're making up their trip. So it really does change the planning, it does change the booking, it does change, all the dynamics that normally go into planning one of these vacations.
And I would say as agents, our dialogue has changed with our clients. It used to be that clients would ask us about Universal and we would talk about, a ticket that included transportation, send you over there for a day. And now our dialogue is changing.
Correct.
Whereas we're saying, you may want to consider, even if it's only a couple nights, you may want to consider that immersive on-site experience because it's changed. Universal isn't what it used to be.
Yeah, and that's
before
why
Harry Potter.
I started really booking Universal because I kept having clients that wanted to stay there. And I had to send them to another agent, which obviously I didn't want to do. And now I have a lot of clients that have a dual stay, and they do 2 or 3 nights at Universal. And Universal offers transportation to and from a Disney resort, which is really nice.
Excellent. So let's start out a little bit talking about the differences between Disney and Universal. It's always tough. We don't always want to compare everything to being at Disney, but it's kind of hard to do.
And the other thing, a lot of our client base started as Disney clients. And this is a question they have a lot. They want to know what to expect, what's different. So I think it's a big question to answer.
So obviously one of the biggest differences is there are 2 theme parks as opposed to 4 at Disney. And unlike Disney, these truly are walking distance to each other. You could be in one park, you can get out of that park, and you can walk to another
Well,
park.
truly everything on Universal.
Right.
It's very similar to Disneyland in a lot of ways,
Yes.
where everything on Universal property, even if you're staying at Portofino Bay or Cabana Bay, you can still walk to the parks. It's a little bit longer, obviously, but you can still walk there comfortably.
Right. And this is, John walkable. This isn't, you see people, I could walk between the parks. No, this is something that I can do comfortably. So
I
it's not a
couldn't
strain.
comfortably walk from Cabana Bay or Portofino, but I do know lots of people do.
Really? We walked from Cabana Bay.
You are full of it.
Well, we walked from Cabana Bay to Islands of Adventure.
You did not.
I swear.
It's not-
Okay, it
I want
really isn't
video.
that far.
Really that
I want
bad.
video.
It's not that
It's not
bad.
bad. I just did it last weekend. It's not bad.
Did you?
Next weekend will be me walking.
Okay, we'll strap a GoPro on them just so you can
I want to
see.
see it happen.
All right. Wow. I didn't realize it was going to go that way. So that's a big difference. 2 parks as opposed to 4 walking distance to each other. They have what they call CityWalk, which is their entertainment district. This is sort of right in the middle of the 2 theme parks. So one of the things that we, want to make sure our clients understand too is the accessibility of these parks and how easy it is to get around and how easy it is to do something like park hopping or multi-day tickets. One of the other big differences we see with Universal is the difference in young children friendliness as opposed to, say, teens and young adults. So I know you guys have prepared some stuff that talked about families at Universal.
Yes, I took my first trip to Universal when my daughter was 4, and it was a little, ooh, is she gonna like it? Because there's not a lot of attractions that she could ride at 4. She was either scared or just too short. But what Universal does offer is massive, very immersive play areas that Disney does not offer. They have several in Islands of Adventure and a couple in Universal Studios themselves. Some are dry, some are wet. She had a ball. She had an absolute ball there. I think that as she's gotten older, Universal is growing on her, and she's 13 now, and she has asked for annual passes for Christmas. As she gets older, her likes have changed. She wants the bigger rides. She wants the bigger thrills. She wants to ride the Incredible Hulk. But as we go to the parks, we do notice there are smaller children coming and going, and it is a lot more child friendly as far as, like you said, they're so close together, they're so compact.
Even CityWalk has play areas for
Yes,
children.
it does. It has the new fountain, which is nice.
It's a bar.
It's a bar. That's not a fountain.
It's nice
That's
too.
a beer spigot.
I think when you have little kids to be able to walk back to your resort and take a break at
Yes.
Disney, it takes a lot more time to go take that afternoon break than at
Yes,
Universal.
gotta ride a bus.
Right.
Yeah.
As Pete mentioned, these are very, very close together. You could walk back. You could take their transportation. We'll cover more of that in the show where we talk about resorts. But as far as the theme parks go, definitely, I also think Universal is becoming more kid friendly.
They are.
Yeah, there is definitely a push on the part of Comcast, which is Universal's parent company. They're investing heavily in that. They're investing heavily in these parks to begin with, making them a lot more competitive than they were previously. But a big part of that push has been to introduce kid-friendly, more family-friendly sorts of attractions. Craig, what can you offer? What can you offer on that?
Well, I mean, it's completely shifted. It's not even just the DreamWorks. It's also with the hit Secret Life of Pets.
Well, don't skip over that. Talk a little bit about DreamWorks.
I don't know specifically really
Okay,
to go
so
into it with DreamWorks.
fine, I got it. One of the acquisitions Comcast recently made was of DreamWorks Animation. So if you see, was it Kung Fu Panda is one of theirs? Am I
Kung Fu
correct?
Panda, Shrek,
Shrek,
How to Train Your Dragon.
How to Train Your Dragon. They have a lot of intellectual property that they acquired with DreamWorks. Now, keep in mind, one of Universal's biggest problems for a long time, I'm not going to get wonky here, but one of their biggest problems for a long time, and still is that they don't own a lot of the intellectual property that their attractions are based on. So there are all these restrictions. It's one of the reasons things don't change up as often as they would maybe at Disney. But now with the acquisition of DreamWorks, they now own that intellectual property. So a lot of this stuff is now stuff they can develop rides on. They can develop experiences much the way Disney does. Well, that was the big reason why I think they spent what they spent on it. But you were also going to talk about
Well, yeah, with everything Illumination Entertainment has been doing, Secret Life of Pets, all of the Despicable Me movies, which I believe there's even a sequel coming for Minions, as if they needed more Minions. A sequel to Secret Life of Pets. We already know there's an attraction that is coming. They announced that a while ago, but no timetable on that. And basically everything that studio's making is a hit for kids right now. So they're really going to be riding that as much as they can. But
so that's a shift in how we would approach our clients who say, listen, I don't think I want to bring my 5-year-old or my 6-year-old. I don't think they're going to get enough out of this vacation. It's not going to be worth spending the money. It's important for us to let people know that, yes, it really is. That the kids will get enjoyment out of it, but also you don't want to sort of, gyp the rest of the family. You don't want to miss Universal because the 5-year-old can't do anything. I mean, they have lockers. It's certainly fine to put a child in a locker.
Well, no, honestly, one of the things, too, I think that's important to mention from that perspective, one of the things I've always said about Disney resorts, if you want to know how good the pool is, take a look at it in the middle of the day when there's the option to go to a theme park or there's the option to be in the pool. If you see a lot of kids in the pool at 11 o'clock in the morning or at noon, you know that pool must be fun. It must be a good pool because the kids would rather be there than in the theme park. I see that at all of the Universal resorts, whether it's Portofino, Hard Rock, Royal Pacific. Each of those pools is different, very, very specific, specifically themed. I think I would say arguably the Hard Rock pool is probably my favorite, the underwater sound system. But you see, so that's a lot, and there's a lot for kids to do there too at the resorts. So you should consider that at least in making that decision.
And if you're comparing the two parks, I mean, there is not enough at this point, or there's not as much at this point for a 5-year-old to do at Universal as there is with Disney. No. But the question becomes, do you compare? Is the comparison fair? Like it's just a different experience. So, I think Universal has recognized there's a gap in that age group and in the family, and I think they're making great strides towards it. I know we took Ben there when he was 3 and 4. That was a lot of years ago. And there was almost nothing for him to do at that point. So to think just how far they've come and how far they're still going to go. So there's definitely some room for improvement, but they're aware.
Absolutely. So that moves us into sort of the sweet spot of Universal, sort of the young adult. You talk about your daughter being 13. That's moving into really where Universal hits their stride with kids. Big roller coasters, big rides, big themed areas like Harry Potter.
Oh gosh.
So this is really where I think the teens want to go now, almost more than Disney.
I agree with that. I think if you want thrill rides, that's where you want to go. And then a lot of times with my clients, that go to Disney, they go to Universal for their teenagers because the teens, there's stuff for them at Disney. But if you want to do a full day of thrill rides, you go to Universal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I have the one thing I can appreciate. My husband doesn't ride anything, but my daughter rides everything. So Universal offers where Disney has the baby swap, the child swap. Universal also offers it, but Universal has indoor seating areas where either dad or the smaller children and mom in a stroller, they can actually wait in comfort in air conditioning. Some of them actually over at the Harry Potter attractions show the Harry Potter movies.
Yes.
It's on a loop. So the kids are actually entertained. They have no idea they're missing out on this cool ride because they feel like they're at least
part of it, right?
Immersive and doing something. And especially over at through the castle, the Hogwarts castle, they can actually take the whole tour and go through the castle. So you're really including your family into the Harry Potter experience. But I appreciate that.
I also think it's important to point out that while certainly Universal excels in their thrill rides in terms of roller coasters, I think they tend to get painted with a brush of that's all it is. That's all they have there. Mm-hmm. I don't ride roller coasters. I stopped riding roller coasters 20 years ago. I love being over there. There are plenty of rides I can do that aren't going to, put me in a wheelchair, give me a concussion, send my blood pressure through the roof. And beyond that, there's a lot of experiences over there that are just wonderful. It's just these are the great parks to be in. So I think it's important to point out that while thrill rides certainly are a feature, and they do it really well, there's a lot of other stuff there too.
I think that speaks to the fact that there's something for everybody. There's a full family experience. This is no longer just about someone riding thrill rides. This is about kids can have a good time. Folks who don't ride rides can have a good time. Can you spend a whole day there without riding a ride? Is that something you can do?
I've done it many times. I do it when I go with my niece and nephew, who are in their 30s.
They are not.
But yeah, they are. Yeah. So, we'll go there with them, and a lot of times I just don't feel like riding. Maybe, like I said, there are some rides I will, but they love to do the coasters and stuff. I'm great. There's so much to see and do at those parks that I never feel like I'm just, sitting there waiting for somebody. A lot of times they'll say, look, I'm going to go over here and do this. Meet me when you're done.
I also think that Universal's really upped their theming. When we first started to go to Universal, it was a little bit plain. It was sort of buildings with experiences in them. Since Islands of Adventure opened, and then, of course, with Harry Potter, it's become more immersive.
Well, I think, you got to remember, when it first opened, the whole idea was this is a working movie studio, and we just have a couple of things here for you, but, this is really a working movie studio. We're going to allow you in, see it on the inside. Yeah, okay, whatever. Eventually, they realized that, no, it's not a working anything. It's a theme park. And so they invested in making it a theme park. And, the more they wanted to compete with Disney, they were trying. For years, they tried. And it was actually kind of sad because they just never, ever really succeeded until they got the rights to for Wizarding World and Harry Potter at Islands of Adventure. That seemed to turn things around. And, of course, with the acquisition with Comcast acquisition of NBC Universal, now they've got $500 million a year in new development money.
And with the land that they've purchased and with the expansions they're doing.
The land they bought back. It was land that they
Correct.
sold because they were doing so badly back in 2000, 2001 that they had to sell this land and they needed to buy it back. And they have a couple hundred acres now on iDrive, which is probably where a third theme park is going to go. It's been zoned for a theme park, by the way.
So Universal is definitely something that is, we want to encourage people to go to. This isn't no longer an add-on. It's no longer an afterthought. Should I go? Will my family have a good time? Should we send our clients there? We think it's something that you definitely should try to do. And some people are doing just Universal. It is not uncommon for us to get people who say, I don't even want to go to Disney anymore. I want to go and spend 4 or 5 days in Universal, and that's where I'm going to invest my vacation time.
And this is a result of the amount of construction going on at Disney right now, that there's so much under construction in Animal Kingdom and Hollywood Studios in particular, that people are saying, I'll go to Disney when Star Wars Land opens. I'll go to Disney when Avatar Land opens. Let me go to Universal. Let me try something different. Because, Disney's also dealing with I think, a certain level of burnout. Because they've had, everybody's gone. It's hard to find anybody that hasn't gone to Disney World. And, a lot of people have gone twice, 3 times. They want a new experience. They like coming to Orlando. They want something new. So that's why I think you're seeing that trend toward people either doing split stays or just kind of going to Universal. And, we'll get to this in one of the other shows, but, we'll talk about the hotels and where, I'm sorry, I think Universal just excels leaps and bounds above Disney is in the hotels. Well, I don't know.
Some hotels.
We have, stay tuned for the resort show. We can discuss it. Apparently, we've had some recent bad experiences, but we've had some recent good experiences. So I think it's fair to give both points of view for that. So talking about the size of the park, talking about what Universal offers, what are we telling our clients is the ideal number of days for a stay? What are we suggesting to folks? Let's start with the person who's never been. I've never been to Universal. I've always gone to Disney. I want to add days to Universal. How are we advising them to stay at Universal?
My clients personally, I'm advising 3 days. Because especially if you have never been, you're not familiar with it, you're used to going to Disney, I don't want them to go in overload of, oh, I got to plan this, plan that. Universal is more of a laid back experience, but I really feel that they should take one day in each park and one day to either go back to the park that they enjoy the most, spend some time at CityWalk, spend some time at your resort, because there is so much to see and do that 3 days I think is perfect.
Even with crowds at Harry Potter, even you think that 3 days you can get it all done? That's good.
I do too. That's always mine is 3 days. If you've never been, and if you have been and you really enjoy the thrill rides, maybe add that 4th day. Or if you have little kids and you've been, maybe a 2-day would work if you have little kids. But 3 days is ideal. It gives you time to relax at your resort as well as enjoy the parks.
Honestly, from an international perspective, and I know you were talking about it previously before, John, but people come over from England and will do nothing but Disney for 2 weeks, and they come back, and I have conversations with them, and they will still say, I didn't see everything, I didn't do everything. So I think 3 days is a good minimum to start off with. But honestly, like Disney, you hear people say that line all the time where, oh, there's never enough time, you can go 100 times and you've still not seen it all. It's very similar. I'm hearing that from the Universal point of view. People are always coming back saying, oh, I didn't get to do this, I didn't get to do that. So three is great to do the bulk, but honestly, if you want to get deep in there, don't limit yourself. If you spend longer than 3 days there, you're still going to see a lot more. There's always a lot more to do. So,
and you also be concerned about what time of year you're visiting, because if it's when Halloween Horror Nights is going on, the parks aren't going to be open as late. Just generally in off times. Whenever it's in slow season at Universal, their parks stay open until usually only about 7 o'clock. And if there's a after hours party, it'll be closed even earlier, potentially 5 or 6. So despite thinking you might be able to get everything done, if they have a shift in their hours, all of a sudden you might wish you had that extra day that you didn't.
And we get the question too, some clients will ask, can I spend a week at Universal? I think you can. I don't know that you would go into the theme park for 7 days.
It's a much more leisurely vacation.
I think so. I think you could pace it out with a 6 or a 7 night vacation. You could pace it out. Maybe you want to spend the time at the great pools. You want to spend some time at CityWalk. There's mini golf there. There's the movie theater is there. So there's a lot to do right in that area. So I would say 3 days for a theme park. But there's so much else to do. And you could go off-site. You could, if you wanted to add a SeaWorld day, you could certainly do that. So I think you could definitely make this a week vacation without feeling, and by a week I mean 7 days, not week, like not strong. I think you can really make this a nice paced week.
Well, I think a week at Universal, as I said, be a much more leisurely.
Yes.
How many times do we hear people say, coming back from a Disney vacation, I need a vacation for my vacation?
All the time.
So, this does, I think a week at Universal, if you were saying, okay, we've done Disney, we want to try something different, we still want to come to Orlando, maybe this time we'd like to have a slightly less energetic vacation. A week at Universal gets you to see everything, and I think gives you that time to kind of relax and enjoy
Absolutely.
it.
I agree.
I was like, Craig touched on this a little bit. When's the best time to go to Universal? When's the best time to visit those theme parks? Is it different from Disney? Is it the same as Disney?
It's different.
It's very different. Because like my favorite time, if I was not living here to visit Disney, would definitely be over the holiday period, right around the first couple weeks of December. I think that's whenever there's the most to offer that suits with me. But for Universal, if I wasn't living here, I would probably only come during Halloween season, because that's whenever they thrive at their best.
I think a good point, though, is to make here is that whereas, those of us who've been doing Disney for a long time, we remember the good old days when September was quiet and January was quiet.
The first 2 weeks in December were quiet.
Right.
Yeah.
That, with Disney has done a brilliant job of filling their parks and their hotels during those what were traditionally the off season. Those rules don't apply to Universal.
No.
It is still, September is still, you can pretty much shoot a cannon down the middle. The only place you can't do it is at, Wizarding World. Those are always busy. But the parks generally, kind of do follow the old rules, which is kind of nice that you can say. So yeah, when the kids are in school, that rule really does apply still at Universal. If kids are in school, crowds are going to be lower. but it's not unusual in September to see the parks close at 7 o'clock when there isn't Halloween Horror Nights. They don't always stay open very late. So they'll yield their hours around crowds the same way Disney does. And so you can kind of tell by looking at the hours, if Halloween Horror Nights isn't going on, you can kind of tell when they're projecting the crowds to be low. If
And
it's
I
staying
think-
open later, they're expecting crowds.
Yeah, and I think it's nice. Like if they do close earlier, it's quieter, so you're still getting to get everything done in the day because the lines are a lot less, and you can enjoy CityWalk at night because I love CityWalk. So it gives you that push to go to CityWalk. Sometimes at Disney, the park closes at 11. You feel like you have to stay at the park until park close.
Okay, and for me, I think there's some good stuff at CityWalk, but for the most part, I call it Sadness Walk. And
I like it.
now that Disney Springs is open,
Well,
I think
oh,
they've.
There's no
can't compare.
competition. You can't compete on that. No.
Oh, no, you have to compare.
Well, I was saying if you're staying
And-
at Universal, people are not going to get in their car and drive to Disney Springs.
No.
So let's talk a little about CityWalk. Let's talk about CityWalk from the perspective of I'm staying 3-4 nights at Universal. Am I going to find something to do at night? Is it going to be fun, or am I going to be locked in my hotel room?
I think it depends on the person. If you like to go out, like if you're a younger couple, and you like to go out, yes, you can find something to do every night. If you're maybe like my parents would hate it. They wouldn't really find that much to do there. I'm not a huge fan of the restaurants there, so I think you lose a little bit of dining. At
Oh, I
Universal.
disagree. That's where I disagree with you.
I like Cowfish, and that's the only restaurant I really
See, and I think Cowfish
enjoy.
is. I think Cowfish is mediocre on a good day. I think you have Emerald's, which has
And I
been
haven't dined. I have never
consistently-
dined there, so that one I
which
can't
has
compare.
consistently since the day it opened been an outstanding restaurant. I love Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville. I think they've got some really great, fun atmosphere, great environment. The NBC Sports Grill, which just recently opened, was a surprise. I really thought it was going to suck. And the food was very, very good. I was surprised at how good it was. So you do have some, and we recently, back in April or May, we ate at the Hard Rock Cafe.
That's actually very good.
I was stunned how good it was.
It was stunned me
because
too.
it was so many times years ago. So many times I ate there, and it just wasn't any good. So I just kind of, I was left with that impression, and so we decided to try it again. Went back and loved it. We had a great experience. So I think there are a lot of good places to eat there. Not to mention over at the resorts as well. I don't know how much you want to get into dining here. But I think that, for me, CityWalk does offer that. Beyond that, as somebody who doesn't drink,
Yeah, that's
the
where you would
theaters-
lose it.
the
Yeah.
theater's nice, and I'm going to be delicate here. The theater attracts a local crowd, and it can be disruptive. I have much better experiences. Even though that AMC theater is closer for me, I still prefer to go to Disney Springs.
I would say that's a Friday and Saturday night thing, though, because that was my main theater whenever I lived only a mile or less away from there.
Well, he's the locals you're
During-
talking about.
Yeah, you're the one I'm talking about not wanting to be in a movie theater with.
But during the weeknights there, I would say you're absolutely right on Friday and Saturday. Everything goes into really strict mode on Friday and Saturdays because they won't allow underage people into CityWalk without parent supervision after, I can't remember the exact time off the top of my head. So it's a little stricter there. But during the week, movie theater is generally dead. I've been in movies by myself plenty of times there. Just having
That's
sad parties.
sad.
Very, very sad. Yeah.
It's very sad.
Say the same thing.
Wouldn't you say in general the parks are busier on weekends than during the week? Like Disney
Yeah.
kind of doesn't seem to matter anymore. Every day's busy, but it seems to me at Universal weekends are busier.
It follows that, like I
If-
said, it
with the
follows
local
that-
crowd, right?
follows
With
the
the
old
locals.
rules.
Yeah.
It follows the
Yeah.
old rules. Weekends are going to be a little bit busier. Peak seasons are going to be busier. You've got those slow times in
Yep.
September and December, January. Things will pick up a little bit in February from Mardi Gras because a lot of the parties that Universal does, I think all of them, with the exception of Halloween Horror Nights, are included with your admission. They're not hard ticket events. So if you want to enjoy Mardi Gras in the park on in February, March, which they had, and they have some great acts and things like that. And that, whether you drink or not, they got lots of food stands set up all around the park. That's included with your admission. That's not a separate ticket. The only thing I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Craig, the only thing I think that is a hard ticket is Halloween Horror Nights. But if you are in town during that part of the season, and you have to go experience it. It
is fun.
really is ridiculous how good a job they do.
I won't either. I'm too scared.
Oh, yeah. We did it last year.
I'd be very scared.
So, speaking about tickets and what Universal offers, we talked about staying 3 or 4 days. What kind of tickets are we talking about for your clients for that type of stay?
You definitely want a park-to-park ticket. It's not like when you go to Disney and you can get away without that hopper ticket. If you don't have a park-to-park, you're not going to be able to ride Hogwarts Express in between the parks. So that's
Let's
your
talk
number
a little bit about
one.
that for people who don't know what that means.
Yeah, it's literally the Hogwarts Express from the movie, and it runs between the two parks. And you have to have the park-to-park since it does take you to the other park, and you can exit. And you have to scan your ticket. They do have the ability, if you didn't know ahead of time, there is a ticket window there, and you can upgrade your ticket. But you have to ride it. It's part of the experience, and it's incredible. You feel like you're in the movie.
You do, and it's different both directions. It's
Yes,
not
for
the
sure.
same experience going from Islands of Adventure to the studio. It's different. So I always tell my clients, ride it both ways, and they're like, "What? Why would I go back? Just do it. Just do it." It's really
It's a
really
great
cool.
experience. It is.
It is. It shocked me because at first I thought, I'm riding a train. Yay!
Right.
It was awesome, and we sat there in the whole car because you're in individual little cars, just like a train, and we're looking around going, really? This is really cool. I mean, I really liked it.
It's awesome.
really-
It's an
Also,
incredible
It's
attraction.
worth it.
In terms of talking about tickets, I will tell you, I think not arguably, the most popular ticket we sell for Universal overall is the 1 or 2 day park to park with transfers. So it includes transportation from Disney to Universal and back for 1 day or 2 days to do this. It's great if you're not sure if Universal is for you, and you want to try it and you want to experience it, but you don't want to invest in the hotel and everything right then and there. What we've seen is, we've always referred to this as the sampler ticket. That's the appetizer, and I think one of the reasons we are seeing so many split stays now is because of the success of this ticket. People going on 1 year, experiencing it, saying, okay, yeah, you know what, when I come back, I
Yep.
want to. We see that a lot. So there's a 1 day 2 park ticket, and there's a 2 day 2 park ticket. So both those tickets would allow you to go back and forth on the Hogwarts Express, and also includes transportation from Disney resorts to Universal. So
Now, Universal does not offer any kind of length of stay ticket. You're buying a separate
Right.
ticket based on your stay. So you can buy less days than you're actually staying.
their longest ticket generally, I think, sold through Universal's 4 days. And you can get more than that if you want to go with the Orlando Flex ticket. But I think the Flex ticket's up to 14 days.
Up to
Yes.
14 days.
So-
14 consecutive days from the first day of use.
But it includes SeaWorld and Aquatica and Busch Gardens too, right? And Wet n
So
Wild.
yeah, there's 2 versions of it actually. There's the 5 park version and the 6 park version. So the 5 park version, both of them include Universal and Islands of Adventure. Importantly, you also get with the 5 park version SeaWorld, Wet n Wild, I believe, and Aquatica. You get the exact same with the 6 park version, but with the advantage of being able to go to Busch Gardens as well. And they will actually offer transportation all the way out there too if you wanted to go there. But the important thing to remember as well with the Flex ticket is it is a multi-park day ticket, so it will give you the option of riding the Hogwarts Express
park hopper.
back and forth. It's a park hopper, yeah.
And I have to tell you, I mean, it really isn't. You talk about the Flex ticket for up to 14 days. It's good, and it's $400 per person. That may sound like a lot on spec, but if you break it down,
a
if
great
you're
deal.
here for even a week, and that's
It's good value.
What's
It's
a
gonna be
2-day?
that-
That's very good.
What's a 2-day ticket? What's a regular 2-day
The
park to
regular
park?
2-day park-to-park ticket is $219 or $220 for adults, $210 for kids.
And then the flex ticket's a bargain then.
The flex ticket of 14 days is $394 for adults, $378 for kids.
And especially, Oliver, name it out of my head. Isn't that great? Oliver talked about, our international guests. This is something that international guests love.
You can tell the ticket itself is tailored towards international guests because it's only Americans that like to, and maybe Canadians that like to visit for a few days or a week at a time. Generally speaking,
But not
English
like
people-
to.
Well,
We
you-
only get that much
yeah,
vacation.
that's the amount of vacation time you get over here. But in England, we can take a lot longer. So we'll come for 14 days at a time. So you can, even though it's available for US citizens to buy, you can tell it's been marketed and it's tailored towards English people. So it's the favourite option for international visitors, I would say.
Excellent. We're going to talk about more about this when we get into resorts. But one of the benefits of staying at an Orlando, Universal Orlando Resort is the Express Pass.
Certain Universal
Certain
Orlando
resorts.
Right.
resorts.
So let's talk a little bit about that now before we get to resorts. To sort of, I know there's the teaser ticket out there. There's a transportation from Disney. But for those who are thinking about staying at Universal and a Universal Resort Hotel, this is something that would make it a benefit for them. Not only proximity
Yes.
to the park and things like that, but this particular ticket or option.
Absolutely. Express Pass oh my, you can't even put a price on it. Well, you can, but when you're staying at Royal Pacific, Hard Rock, or Portofino, you do have the Express Pass included. And you have to go to this wonderful little kiosk that takes your picture, and you carry around this little card with your picture, and you show it at each of the attractions that you can. You cannot use the Express Pass at the Harry Potter attractions, but you do get that hour early, which you can beat everyone else, which is great. But the Express Pass has its own little line, kind of like the Fast Pass return, but you go all the way to the front. And I can tell you, it saves you hours.
Especially,
Hours.
absolutely, especially, it cannot be, you cannot put a price on it in the summer when it's hot and the lines are long.
Exactly.
And you literally just walk onto rides. Again, it's like the old days. It's like Legacy Fast Pass at Disney in a lot of ways. That, their return line, you're not sitting there for 15 minutes in their return line.
Right.
And so it really is an express pass. And the reason that Cabana Bay and Sapphire Falls don't have it, and I give Universal a lot of credit for this, they did not want to cannibalize the value of that experience. And they knew that if they opened up all those rooms to the Express Pass, that they would not be able to manage it the way they are now. And they want the experience to stay the same. So they did not add it to those. So they have, those hotels, Portofino, Hard Rock, Royal Pacific, that have the Express Pass. And you have Sapphire Falls and Cabana Bay that don't. However, a lot of times, depending on the time of year, you look at the price difference at Cabana Bay and Sapphire Falls, and you can buy an express pass
Just gonna
at
say
the
that.
park
Right.
for each day that you want to be there.
Right.
And sometimes the price of that express pass in the hotel room at Cabana Bay is cheaper than if you were staying at Royal Pacific.
Yeah, I recently just had a client actually book a room at Royal Pacific for one night. She was like, I have no intention of using it, but it was less expensive to get the Express Pass included than for her to buy the one-day park tickets
Yes.
with the Express
With the
Pass.
Express Pass.
I do find that a lot. It's usually 9 times out of 10, it's cheaper for them to upgrade to Royal Pacific than it is to add on the Express Pass every day that they're there for each person in their crowd. So I always tell each family, if you can swing it, and if you're even considering the Express Pass, you have to stay at Royal
And
Pacific.
don't forget as well, if you're staying one night, you've got Express Pass for 2 days.
Yes.
Yes.
You've got a check-in day and check-out day.
Yes.
Yep.
So
And
now
it's
you've got 2 days worth of Express Pass for the price of one night stay.
Just a couple more notes on Express. It doesn't work at Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey or Gringotts, but it does work at Dragon Challenge and Flight of the Hippogriff. So a lot of people do think it's widespread to all Wizarding World attractions, but that's not the case. The other thing is you'll see a lot of people using lanyards for their Express, which it seems like such a silly thing to think about before your trip. But now that Universal has stricter policies, especially with metal detectors at like Dragon Challenge and the Incredible Hulk. If you used to keep it in your wallet, then a lot of times they're going to make you take your wallet and put it in a locker. And then you have a loose express pass, where if you have it in a lanyard around your neck, then that's allowed to go on the ride. So you can, of course, buy them at every gift shop around the park. They want you to spend $5 on it. But if you want to save some money, you can get a cheap knockoff one at Walmart before you go. So that way you'll have that for your ID, express pass, anything else you might
The metal
want.
on the lanyard doesn't.
That's not a
Anything
problem. They allow that to happen, but no loose articles in your pockets anymore. Very, very strict about that.
Excellent. All right. I think we covered tickets really well. One of the things I'm looking at my notes we kind of missed was height requirements for certain rides in the park. This is something we get a lot of questions about from our clients who want to know, listen, can my kids even get on these rides? What are the height requirements? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, Universal has 9 attractions that have a height restriction. They start at 40 inches and go all the way up to 51 inches for Rip Ride Rocket. The other thing I thought was interesting, so Gringotts is 42 inches, but you also have to have a companion traveling with you that's at least 48 inches. So even if you meet the height requirement, you might still have to have somebody with you that's taller. And there was a few rides that fell into that. Rip Ride Rocket was the only one that had, if you were too tall, and that was 79 inches. I'm not sure how many people would fall into that, an NBA player maybe. But yeah, so there's 9 attractions at Universal and then 12 attractions at Islands of Adventure that have a height restriction. And they start at 36 inches and go to 54 inches for the Dragon Challenge. So, I mean, that's one of the things that we have on our questionnaire when we're helping our clients is how tall are your kids? And we can help them kind of know what they're going to be able to do and what they're
In
not going to be
advance,
able
what
to
rides
do.
they can go on and what
Yes.
they can't go on.
Good thing about Rip Rocket. It's like I got
Rip
the name
Ride
right.
Rocket,
Rip,
yeah.
yeah. My niece,
Nothing.
when she went, she was too short, but they gave her a pass, so that when she was tall enough, it would work a little bit like, I hate to use the terminology, but a little like a fast pass. So that when she was tall enough, and it took a little while, but when she came back a couple years later,
That's
she
really
still
cool.
had the pass.
That's
And she was
brilliant.
able to
really
use it.
cool.
Yeah.
That's really
Yeah.
cool.
So she was able
So instead
to
of
use
being
it.
really upset that day,
Right.
like, you can come
Yeah,
back. That's
exactly.
really nice.
When you're ready, we're ready for you, was kind of what it said. It was really
I would
neat.
never recommend this, but all attractions that do have a height requirement have these. Some of them are beautiful, like the one that we had at Forbidden Journey. It was like artwork that you would almost want to hang on your wall. It was gorgeous, but some people do go around, even if they bring a younger kid with them that just didn't measure up. You can go around and get one at every single attraction, so that way, whenever they're old enough, you essentially have express for all
Oh,
those
this is going to
rides.
cause so many problems.
So you would not recommend it, but you would say it publicly on the podcast.
Exactly.
No, it's for the ones they genuinely wanted to. Don't drag your kid kicking and screaming because they're afraid of the castle. Be like, no, you need to get this height certificate for next trip. Like, don't use good judgment on it. But, we've recommended even to people in the parks
Just
whenever
put-
they want it.
Putting it out there as well for anyone that's interested in manipulating the system, they do it at Disney too. So it's your choice to do it or not. But yeah, I've seen them do it at Disney. They will give
Really?
out the return pass to go through the express queues. So if you're
Wow,
not short enough,
things
so
you learn on the
it's-
Dreams Unlimited Travel podcast.
Yeah, really.
Wow.
How
So just
scam
make the fast
system.
pass lines even longer.
I
at
know.
Disney.
Thanks, guys.
Something you guys touched on a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about customer service at Universal versus Disney. Now, I don't think I'm, exaggerating when I'm saying there was a time when it was a big difference in the two parks. When you would go to Universal and there'd be a marked difference in the type of experience you would have with what they call team members. Is that what they call their folks as
Yes,
opposed to
team
cast
members.
members? So my opinion, my experience has been is that has changed drastically. That they are hiring and they are training people to be much more customer forward
I am
in their parks.
personally, I'm finding that the level of customer service in the theme parks at Universal now exceeds that at Disney. And the main reason is that their staff is full-time, not college program. You are never, ever, ever going to get the level of service you want to get when 60% of your workforce is temporary help. No, I'm not saying that all college program is bad. But you were on the college program.
Yes, so.
Yeah,
You
we
know
both
exactly
are.
what I'm talking about. How many people that were on that college program with you were really dedicated to giving great customer service, and how
I-
many
I
people
know.
were there for a hot summer at Disney World for something to do. So when 60% of your workforce,
Sure.
of your full-time workforce is that, you are not going to get the legendary customer service Disney used to give. That mantle is quickly being picked up by Universal because they are not doing that. They are hiring full-time staff, people who are invested, people who are taking pride in it, people who are there to work.
Yes.
Yes.
And again, I think there are a lot of great people in the college program. I think the college program as an employment strategy, as the bulk of an employment strategy, is flawed. Universal's not doing it. It's one of the areas Universal is able to exploit
Yes.
against Disney. And I have seen the level of improvement in the customer service at Universal over the last 7 years has been absolutely breathtaking.
I personally think it's all to do with the quality of the product. People were always drawn to work at Disney because they like the brand itself, and I very recently went through that training within the last year or so, and they're not that heavy on it, but people give good customer service at Disney because they enjoy working there. They want to be part of something. And I think we've seen an increase in customer service at Universal because the products just got better. People actually want to strive to go out and work for that company now, so they have pride in themselves.
Absolutely.
So compared
really
to the
good point.
90s, where like the curve's just gone up for the quality of that product, it's directly linked to the customer service you're receiving because people are, going out there and putting themselves forward to work at Universal. So
I think a lot of people who go to work for Disney, maybe not on the college program, but older folks actually go because they have a love of Disney and they want to share that with other people. So it's not about just finding a job to fill their time. It's really about wanting to push that Disney magic forward. And I think we're seeing that with Universal. People absolutely love what Universal's doing these days.
Do you think there's a shift in the in that percentage of college program kids working as temporary help now? It seems to me like there's a lot more of it than there ever used to be before.
It has become cheap labor.
I'm surprised at how much I'm seeing it in guest services. To me, when you're staffing a guest services office kiosk building, these should be your top level guest service
Question.
providers. And I've had to deal with guest services now a few times recently, and no big issues or anything, but just having been there for different things. And I'm dealing with college program kids.
Understand the commitment to the customer service legacy that Disney was famous for doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I can see it.
It doesn't exist.
I went through Traditions and then Universal's introduction program to their team members within it's pretty much 6 months of each other. And where Disney, I just felt like I was another person being herded in, and they tried to do a good job of brainwashing you real quick to like the product, and if you didn't, then that was fine. You were gonna be a good body anyways. Where Universal, they had an approach where it's have pride in your venue, and that's why, like, now I'm still friends with a lot of kids who worked at Jaws, and every year whenever it hits the anniversary of that ride closing, everyone makes their Facebook profile picture of them back when they were skippers. They still care about it years later. They teach you to be obsessed with those rides that you work at and make it a part of your life. And that was different because Disney, they never did that. They just said, hey, here's Walt, if you didn't know him before. And
When did you
Go to
go
work.
through Disney's?
that
Traditions.
was fall 2010. Yeah.
It was after Traditions changed.
Yeah, see, I did it in the 40s.
Yeah.
So it was completely.
And it was a 3-day program then, and it was
immersive.
4 hours for me.
It was 4 hours for you.
And
There you go.
and the reason it was 4 hours, the reason it went from 3 days to 4 hours, is because when you have a staff, when you have 60% of your staff turning over every 9 months, you can't afford to do 3-day training like that.
Right.
So
3 days.
it was.
I loved it.
It has changed dramatically.
And what the 3-day program does, and it did for me, was I was not a frontline cast member. I was doing support work in the back. I was in a managerial role. But it made me understand that everybody who worked for the company is guest forward. Whether you know it or not, whether you're directly guest forward or not, this is what they were stressing. And I think that's a little
And
bit.
this, in my opinion, is one of the big areas where Disney has left a massive loophole there's a massive weak spot in Disney's wall that Universal is able to exploit now, and they're doing it, and they're doing it well, and they're doing it consistently, and it's not the only area Universal's doing it. And like I said, I've said it many times on our Tuesday show. We are the ones who benefit from this battle royale going on up and down I-4. We're the ones who benefit. But look, I'm a Disney fan. I love Disney. I want to see Disney succeed. I want to see Universal succeed as well. But Disney needs to up their game.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier to have pride in your job when I feel like you're being treated well at your job. I worked for both Disney and then I did work at CityWalk too, and there was just, I don't know, my managers were more approachable at Universal. My training there was much more extensive. I worked at CityWalk, but I trained in both parks as well. They wanted you to be familiar with everything. So I thought that was a big deal. And it was a lot, you have more pride in your job when you're happier at your job.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right, before we close out the show, the three of you had a chance to stay recently at Universal. From a parks perspective, is there anything you want to share and you want our audience to know, or you want your clients to know, maybe from an experience you just had, or something that happened, or something you noticed that was different?
I can say I stayed at Sapphire Falls, and I just absolutely love being able to jump on the boat, and it's a straight shot to CityWalk, and the parks are right there, and you don't share a boat with any other resort, so you're not stopping along the way, and I thought that was really nice.
With the common folk? You're the boat all to yourself?
No, Sapphire Falls is the common folk.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yes.
Can't wait till that show.
I also stayed at Sapphire Falls, and the boat was amazing. And unlike Disney buses, when one boat would fill up and leave, you could see the second boat. It was waiting, and it was a constant turnover of boats. We never waited for a boat.
No,
It
we
was
didn't either.
amazing. And then I also
Much like a
walked.
refugee flotilla.
Well, I did get stuck on a boat in a lightning storm. That's another story. I did walk back from CityWalk back to Sapphire Falls, and it's a beautifully lit. It's there's flowers and trees. It's right along the water. It was a beautiful path back. We did take a wrong turn and ended up at Cabana Bay because there's no signage yet.
There is no
for
signage.
Sapphire Falls.
No.
So there's
that's
one
bad.
big sign that says "Do not go past this way past 9 o'clock." And we were like, okay, I guess we go this way. Well, it was the wrong way, and we ended up at Cabana Bay. And it's now the walk to Cabana Bay. I will say, you are walking next to a 4-lane road. So if you do have small children, hang on to them. You can hear the Incredible Hulk screaming, and it was a little dimly lit when you got to that area. There was no one else on the walkway, so it was a little awkward. But the walkways are very nice. There's no steps. They do have ramps if you do have someone that has an accessibility problem. But the walkways are...
They're very shaded
They're-
too if you do
yes.
it during the day. So,
Yes.
because we did, we walked to Hard Rock Hotel and over to Portofino, and until you get close to Portofino, it was very shaded.
Yes.
So that was nice.
Yeah, I do like that.
Tracy?
I see the Cabana Bay, and it relies on buses. We'll talk more about that on the resort show. I think in general, I think just a lot of what we've said, the parks are moving forward. They're growing. I think if you were at the parks 5, 7, 8 years ago and had an opinion, take another look. They're changing. They're growing. And I think you'll be surprised at what you see now compared to what you saw. Even when my son was little, there was just nothing there for us. If you didn't get on rides, there was nothing else to do. And I think they're filling in a lot of gaps. So if it's been a while since you've been to Universal or you haven't, take a look.
I agree. Add Universal to your stay in the Central Florida area for sure. All right, that'll do it for this show. I thank you guys very much for your input. I thank everybody at home for viewing us and listening to us. We hope you have a great week, and we hope you have a great vacation.